Halina, halina, mag-aral na tayo.
Good afternoon once again mga Batang MANDunong. Again, welcome to our Project SOAR series of online academic reviews in mathematics for week 7. Okay, maraming salamat Sir Fritz sa inyong napaka-detalyado at very comprehensive review lesson for grade 9 po. Okay, so again, bago tayo mag-start for our review lesson for grade 10 naman, hayaan niyong i-introduce ko ang ating macho guwapitong review teacher for grade 10. Okay? So, he is a graduate of Bachelor of Science in Secondary Education, major in Mathematics, almost 16 years in teaching mathematics from grade 7 to grade 10 or first year to fourth year dati. Okay? So, he is a faculty club vice president, a grade level coordinator at mataas na paaralang Nepali Gonzales, an MTech trainer of course. Ang kasama po natin, okay, sa paaralang basta MPNAG de Calidad, walang iba kundi si Mr. J.R. B. Donas. Yes sir, it's your turn po. Good luck sa inyo.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ryan Verbo, for that wonderful and heartwarming introduction. Sa ating pong mga viewers, welcome po sa ating Week 7 series of online academic review for Grade 10 Mathematics. I am Mr. J.R. Dones from Mataas na Paaralang Neptali A. Gonzales, and I will be your guide and your facilitator as we go through our topic for today, and that is factoring polynomials. Now, bago po ang lahat, shout out nga po pala dyan sa mga kalaro ko sa Dragon Nest, particularly sa mga kag-guild ko po dyan sa High Elves. Shout out din po sa akin po mga dating estudyante, Grade 10 Section Onyx, Batch 2018, and of course, makakalimutan ko naman ba ang mga estudyante ko ngayon, Grade 10 Section Jade, Section Diamond, and Section SPJ. So ano pang hinihintay natin? Start na tayo! Hello everyone! Again, my name is Mr. J.R. Donis from Mataas na Paaralang Neptali A. Gonzales, and I will be your facilitator for today's topic, which is about factoring polynomials. Now, ano-ano nga ba ang pag-aaralan at pag-uusapan natin about this topic? Well, basically, dalawang bagay lang naman ang tututukan natin. And what are those? First, we will recall some factoring techniques na natutunan natin in our previous grade level. Can you still remember kung ano-ano yung mga techniques kaya na yon? Yes, those techniques are the following. Okay? Some of these techniques na ituro na sa inyo yung nung grade 8 kayo. Yung iba naman na ituro na sa inyo nung grade 9 kayo kung hindi ako nagkakamali. Maya-maya, I will show you some examples para mas madali nating matandaan at maalala paano nga ba ginagamit ang bawat isa. For more informations about these techniques, pwede nyong balikan or i-check yung YouTube channel natin tungkol dito. Now, I'd like to inform our viewers na I will only focus and pay attention sa first 4 techniques or methods na pinag-uusapan natin dito. The greatest common monomial factor, the difference of two squares, the perfect square of trinomial, and the quadratic trinomial. Ito kasi yung mga methods na madalas nating gagamitin in factoring polynomials. Now, our second task is to determine the factors of a given polynomial. Actually, ito yung gist or focus ng video natin for today. With the help of the factoring techniques na na-mention ko kanina, we will determine the factors of a given polynomial. Don't worry kasi I will show you different examples on how to do this. Now guys, kilala niyo ba si Confucius? Yes, he is a Chinese philosopher. According to him, sabi niya, to know what you know and to know what you do not know is what true knowledge is all about. Guys, the message is simple. It's not because alam na natin ng isang bagay, magiging kampante na tayo. We need to practice and apply what we have learned para hindi natin ito makalimutan. Now that being said, let us now start with our first task, which is to recall the different factoring techniques. Now first, let us establish what factoring is. Ano ba ang pagkakaiba nito sa ibang mathematical processes na alam natin? Well, basically, factoring is a process of determining the prime factors of a given product. It is also a process of changing an expression from a sum or difference of terms to a product of factors. Now, tignan natin yung susunod na mga examples para malinaw sa atin itong description na ito. Now, look at the given example. The expression x squared plus 4x plus 3 is expressed as a sum composed of 3 terms. When we applied factoring, nabago yung expression from sum of 3 terms to factors. Okay? So, based dun sa previous example natin kanina, pwede rin nating sabihin na factoring is also a process of splitting an expression into a multiplication of simpler expressions. Ayan o. Tatandaan natin na when we factor a polynomial, dapat the polynomial should be expressed as the product of two or more irreducible polynomials. Now guys, take note of the word irreducible. Make sure na hindi na siya factorable. Parang ganito. X squared plus 4x plus 3, when factored, x plus 3, x plus 1, which are both irreducible. Parang ganito rin. From 2y plus 6, when factored, yan, we have 2 quantity y plus 3. Generally, there is no single method of factoring a polynomial. We need to be analytic kasi iba-iba ang approach na pwede mong gamitin. So, before you factor any polynomial, it would be better na magplano ka muna. Now, there are times na you will be applying combinations of previously learned factoring techniques. Ibig sabihin, hindi lang isa. Pwedeng dalawa, pwedeng tatlong techniques ang gagamitin mo. Now, the question is, what are these factoring techniques na natutunan na natin? Ano-ano ba itong mga to? Yes, that's right. These are the following. So, we have 6. The greatest common monomial factor, difference of two squares, perfect square of trinomial, difference of two cubes, quadratic trinomial, and factoring by grouping. Now guys, I'd like to remind everyone na I will only be using the 4 following techniques. Ano-ano yung 4 na yon? Una, the greatest common monomial factor. Pangalawa, difference of two squares. Pangatlo, perfect square of trinomial. And lastly, the quadratic trinomial. Simply because, ito kasi yung mga techniques na madalas nating gagamitin when it comes to factoring polynomials. At this point, let us recall one by one how to use those techniques na nabanggit ko kanina. Are you ready? Here we go. Okay, so let us now recall those factoring techniques na makakatulong sa atin in getting the factors of any given polynomial. So, let's start with factoring polynomials by using the greatest common monomial factor. And for this example, we are asked to factor 2x minus 4y plus 8z. Now, in this case, kaya nga siya tinawag na factoring by using the greatest common monomial factor is simply because there exists a factor na common sa bawat term. Kaya nga common monomial factor eh. Na I hope in this example, ayan o, mapapansin nyo na siya. Now in this case, lumalabas na ang common monomial factor natin for this example is 2. So for this example, para mas madali ninyong makita yung common monomial factor, ayan, in-underline ko na siya, and ang kulay niya ay kulay red. So, ano na ang gagawin natin dito ngayon? Now, since 2 is our greatest common monomial factor, what we're going to do here is i-factor out natin siya. Okay? When we factor out, ganito ngayon ang mangyayari sa kanya. Okay? Ayan. So, finactor out natin yung common monomial factor natin. Okay? So, anong nangyari dun sa mga kapartners niya? Naiwan sila sa loob. So finally, that would give us the final answer, or the factored form of 2x minus 4y plus 8z using the greatest common monomial factor. Now, for the next example, this time, we will factor polynomials by using difference between two squares. Now, in this example, we will factor x squared minus 9y squared. Now, here, an easy way to do this is to think of two binomials. Okay? One binomial expressed as a sum, and the other binomial expressed as difference. So, isang addition and isang subtraction. Next is, we will focus our attention dun sa first term ng ating x squared minus 9y squared. In this case, dx squared. Anong gagawin natin? We will get the square root of this. So, ano bang square root ng x squared? Yes, the correct answer is x. Now, anong gagawin natin dun sa x? Yung x, isusulat natin ngayon as a first term dun sa unang binomial natin. Ito yun. Then, yung isa naman, isusulat natin as a first term dun sa pangalawang binomial. Next step, yan, disregarding the subtraction sign, kukunin din natin yung square root ng second term. Again, disregard natin yung subtraction sign ha. So kanina, nakuha na natin yung sa x squared. So nung nakuha na natin yung square root naman ng 9y squared, which is 3y, ayan, lalagay natin siya dito. And we will also do the same thing doon naman sa ating difference between two binomials. Okay? So finally, we have our final answer. Okay? The factors of x squared minus 9y squared is x plus 3y and x minus 3y. Now, pwede bang baliktad yung sagot? Like ganito? Yes, that is also correct. By commutative property, tatanggapin natin yan. Up next is factoring a perfect square of trinomial. Now guys, for this example, we will factor x squared plus 8x plus 16. So, Paano ba natin kukunin yung factors nito? Tulad ng ginawa natin kanina sa difference between two squares, it would be better, mas magiging madali, kung may nakaredy na tayong dalawang binomials. Pero blanco pa. Both expressed as a sum since positive or puro addition. Nasa perfect square of trinomial natin. Next is, ayan, we will get the square root naman of the first term. Ano ba yung first term nung trinomial natin? Yes, it's x squared. Ano bang square root nito? Yes, very good. The square root is x. So, anong gagawin natin dito? Yung x, yan, di ba blanco yung binomials natin kanina? O, yung x, dun ko siya ilalagay sa first terms natin. Alright? Okay. Next, para makumpleto na yung factors ng x squared plus 8x plus 16, we get the square root of the last term of your trinomial. Now, on this case, 16. So, ano bang square root ng 16? Oh, very good. Yes, the correct answer is 4. O ngayon, anong gagawin natin dito sa 4? Siyempre, yung 4, siya yung huling sagot or yung huling part ng sagot na hinahanap natin. So, dito natin siya ilalagay sa second term ng binomial natin. And ganun din sa kabila. So, finally, yan, the factored form of x squared plus 8x plus 16 is x plus 4 and x plus 4. Let's have another example. Now here at this point, you will factor or we will factor x squared minus 8x plus 16. Okay? So tulad ng ginawa natin kanina, may nakaabang na ako na dalawang binomials. But this time, both expressed as a difference. In other words, the operation involved is subtraction. Paano mo malalaman kung subtraction ang ipapagamit mo sa dalawang binomials na nakaabang? The answer is simple. Ang clue, nasa middle term. Yes, negative kasi ang middle term natin. Next, we will get the square root of the first term. So, alam na natin kung anong square root nito. Yes, that's right. The square root of x squared is x. Then, dito natin siya ilalagay. After that, we will get the square root naman of the last term, which is 16. And ano nga uling square root nito? Nice! The square root of 16 is 4. So, anong gagawin natin sa 4? Ayan, susulat natin siya dun sa second term ng binomial natin. So, as you can see, halos kumpleto na yung sagot natin. So, finally, the factored form of x squared minus 8x plus 16 is x minus 4 and x minus 4. For the next method, we will deal with trinomials that are not perfect square. In other words, factoring polynomials by using quadratic trinomial naman tayo. Now, for this example, we will consider two cases. And ano yung dalawang cases na yon? First case, yung trinomial natin is in the form of x squared plus bx plus c. Meaning, hindi siya perfect square, tapos ang leading coefficient niya ay 1. Now, for the second case, we will factor quadratic trinomial in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c. Meaning, hindi siya perfect square, pero may leading coefficient siya, which is greater than 1, or positive leading coefficient. Now, we will start with the first case, which is quadratic trinomial in the form of x squared plus bx plus c. Now, for this example, we will try to identify the factors of y squared plus 5y plus 6. Ito yung trinomial na hindi perfect square. And at the same time, as you can see, ang leading coefficient niya ay 1. Mukhang nahulaan nyo na ang gagawin ko, ha? Yes! May nakaredy na ako na dalawang binomial expressions na blanco pa. Alright? Pero bakit question mark pa yung operation na nasa loob nito? Hindi pa kasi natin masasabi at this point kung subtraction ba or addition ba ang gagamitin natin. Kasi nga, we are dealing with a trinomial na hindi naman perfect square. Kaya question mark pa siya. Now, paalala sa mga viewers natin, ha? At this point, dapat mapansin ninyo na karaniwan sa mga trinomials, ang kanilang mga factors ay dalawang binomial. Okay? Sana napapansin nyo na yon. So ngayon, ano na ngayon ang gagawin natin dito sa dalawang binomials natin na blanco pa? Yes, that's right. Katulad ng ginawa natin sa nauna ng mga trinomials, we will get the square root of the first term. In this case, ano bang square root ng y squared natin? Nice one! Yes, the square root of y squared is definitely y. And I think alam nyo na kung anong susunod na gagawin, right? Yes. Yung sagot, susulat natin dun sa first term ng dalawang binomials natin. Okay? Now, the next part is medyo tricky. So, I'd like you to pay extra attention and focus well. Now, for the next part, para makumpleto na natin yung binomials natin or yung factors, the next step is to think of two numbers. Okay? Two numbers na kapag minultiply ninyo, ang sagot ay 6. Pero pag inad naman ninyo, ang sagot ay 5. Any idea? Yes, that's right. Wala na ngang iba. We're talking about 3 and 2. Okay? 3 and 2, pag minultiply, ang sagot 6. 3 and 2, pag inad naman, ang sagot 5. Eh, anong gagawin natin dito sa dalawang numbers na to? Yun. Yung 3, ilalagay natin dun sa second term, yung 2, dito naman sa kabila. Alright? If we will fill in 3 and 2 dun sa dalawang blankong binomials natin na nakaredy na, it will give us the final answer right away, which is y plus 3 and y plus 2. So those are the factors of our binomial. Y squared plus 5y plus 6. Eh paano kung ang sagot ko ganito? Tama pa rin ba yan? Y plus 2, y plus 3? The answer is yes, tama pa rin. Okay. Up next, and finally, the last method that we have to recall is factoring polynomials by using quadratic trinomial. Okay? So, ito yung second case natin. So, anong klaseng quadratic trinomial ang pinag-uusapan natin dito? We are talking about quadratic trinomials in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c. So, anong pagkakaiba nito sa ibang trinomials na finactor natin? The difference lies with the leading coefficient. Kasi, kanina, yung mga trinomials na finactor natin, the leading coefficient is 1. Now, this time, yung mga trinomials na mai-encounter natin, their leading coefficient is greater than 1. So, paano gagawin natin? Now, take a look at the given example. 2x squared minus 9x minus 5. So, paano natin i-factor to? As you can see, the leading coefficient, or a, is greater than 1. So, paano nang gagawin natin dito? Well, at this point, since this is the last trinomial that we will factor, I will be sharing with you a different approach in dealing with this one. Kasi unlike the other trinomials, may kasama na kasi si x squared eh. Hindi na siya nag-iisa. Okay? So let's start. Step 1. Multiply natin yung leading coefficient and yung constant term. So in this case, the product of 2 and negative 5 is equal to negative 10. Eh ano bang gagawin ko dito sa negative 10? Next step is to list down the factors of negative 10. Alright? Lista natin isa-isa. Now here, lumalabas, negative 10 has 4 sets of factors. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Out of these 4 choices, kunin natin yung factors na kapag in-add natin, the result is equal to the numerical coefficient of the middle term of the given trinomial. Sa kasong ito, negative 9. So, alin ba sa apat na ito ang magbibigay sa atin ng sum na negative 9? Any idea? Very good. Okay. 1 and negative 10, that would give us negative 9. So, sila yung mga pares ng factors na i-consider natin. So, ano nang gagawin ko sa mga numbers na to? Let's see sa next step. Here, I will use these numbers, 1 and negative 10, to rewrite 2x squared minus 9x minus 5. I-rewrite ko siya into 2x squared plus x minus 10x. Yung 1, ito yan. Negative 10, ito naman siya. How is that possible? Eh di ba, x minus 10x is equal to negative 9x? So ayun, yan nire-write ko siya. After that, the next step is to regroup. Okay? Regroup in such a way that each group must have 2 terms. So, paano yun? So, from this form, nire-write ko siya into this form. Tapos, i-regroup ko. So, paano? Ayan. So, yung 2x squared and x squared, Sila yung magkasama. Then yung 10x and 5, sila naman yung magkasama. Now, probably itatanong nyo, Sir, bakit ganon? Bakit naging plus 5? Eh di ba minus 5 siya? Guys, remember, nire-regroup natin siya. So here, we have to undo yung distributive property na ginawa natin doon sa mga signs natin. O, tignan nyo ha. Negative times positive 10, that would give us negative 10. Negative times positive 5 equals negative 5. So parang binaliktad lang natin yung proseso. Kasama yan kapag nagre-regroup tayo. So you have to be careful when it comes to that. Now, the next step, so na-regroup ko na, di ba? The next step is to factor the first group. Okay? So, by common monomial factor, pwede tayong kumuha ng x dyan eh. Ganun din ang gagawin natin dito. So here, the common monomial factor is x. Dito naman, the common monomial factor is 5. If we will do that, dapat ganito ang makukuha nyong sagot. So this is the factored form here. Burahin natin to. And this is the factored form for this part. Hindi kasama si 5 kasi si 5 kanina is the common monomial factor. Now, anong mapapansin ninyo, di ba? Pansin ba ninyo na for this, ayan o, for the first term, here, pareha silang may 2x. It's 1. At ganun din dito sa kabila. Alright? So, anong gagawin natin dyan? Notice na each term may 2x plus 1. Sabi ko nga kanina, di ba? Yan o. Factor that out para makuha natin yung final result. So, when I factored out 2x plus 1, x na lang yung naiwan. Ayan. When I factored out 2x plus 1 sa part na to, negative 5 na lang ang naiwan. Okay? So, that would give us the final result. Meaning, the factored form of 2x squared minus 9x minus 5 is 2x plus 1 and x minus 5. Now, at this point, we are done recalling some previously learned factoring techniques. Okay? Yung mga factoring techniques na gagamitin natin when it comes to factoring polynomials. So, anong ibig sabihin nito? It means, tapos na tayo sa first task natin. In other words, ready na tayo. Mag-ready na tayo para sa second task natin. Okay guys, now at this point, we are done recalling factoring techniques na makakatulong sa atin to further understand how to factor polynomials. Alright? So, tapos na tayo sa task na to. So, ano nang susunod? For our second task, we will determine the factors of a given polynomial. So, sabi ko nga, ito na talaga yung pinaka-lesson natin for this module. Now, before we move forward, okay, let me just tell you na nararamdaman ko kayo. I know and I feel that some of you are a bit hesitant in dealing with our topic for today. Pero guys, let me inspire you, okay? Kasi ano bang sabi ni Marie Curie? Sabi ni Marie Curie, kilala naman natin kung sino siya, di ba? One of the famous scientists, female scientist. Ano sabi niya? Sabi niya, nothing in life is to be feared. It is only to be understood. Now is the time to understand more so that we may fear less. To simply put, ibig lang sabihin nito, ang pinanggagalingan kasi natin or ang pinanggagalingan ng takot natin sa mga bagay-bagay is due to lack of understanding or kulang yung pagkakaintindi natin sa mga bagay-bagay na kinatatakutan natin. So, anong solution natin doon? In order to lessen that fear, let us understand more. In short, aral pa more. So, tara let's aral pa more. Ayan. Now guys, in factoring polynomials, let us be guided by the following. Okay? First, factor out the common factor. Next, factor accordingly. After that, of course, it is important for you to double check the result. Then, we must validate para sure tayo na tama yung sagot natin. Now, let's try to apply the following guidelines in factoring polynomials. Okay? Let us now proceed with the next examples. For example number 1, ayan, we are asked to write the polynomial x cubed plus x squared minus 6x in factored form. Now guys, don't be deceived ha. Yes, 3 terms siya. Pero, take note, the degree is 3 or the highest exponent is 3. So, baka akalain nyo quadratic to. Okay? So, again, be observant. Now, how are we going to factor this given polynomial? So, ang sabi, factor out the common factor nga. So, ayan o, kitang-kita naman, di ba? Sa first term, may makukuha tayong x. Sa second term, may x din. Sa third term, may x din. Alright? So, that is already our clue. It means we can use factoring by using the common monomial factor. Kasi nga, in each term, may common factor. And that is x. Next, kung gagamitin natin yung method na yon, yan. O, ganito makukuha natin. Okay? Sabi nga, di ba, factor out the common factor. So, finactor out natin siya and it gave us this result. However, di ba, final na kaya tong sagot natin na to? Of course, in this part, we have to determine if irreducible na yung result na meron tayo. Apparently, x squared plus x minus 6 can still be factored. Okay? So, paano natin siya i-factor? We can use factoring quadratic trinomial to factor this further. Okay? So, paano gagawin natin? Ayan. So, tulad ng ginawa natin kanina, for x squared plus x minus 6, ayan o, may nakaabang na akong dalawang binomials. Okay? So, kinuha ko yung square root ng x squared. The square root of x squared is x, so dito ko siya nilagay. Alright? And then, nag-isip ako ng dalawang numbers na kapag minultiply, ang sagot ay negative 6, pero pag inad, ang sagot 1. And ano ba yung dalawang numbers na yon? Obviously, that's positive 3 and negative 2. So, that being said, ayan, Nakuha na natin ngayon yung factors ng x cubed plus x squared minus 6x. Now, all we have to do now is to double check. Check if the resulting factors can still be factored further. Palagay nyo ba final na to? Of course. Now, since wala na, we will now proceed sa next part, and that is to validate kung tama ba yung sagot natin o hindi. Para malaman natin kung saan tayo nagkamali. So, paano ba natin binavalidate? We do validate the result by simply multiplying the factors. Okay? Turns out, ayan o, that the given factors, when multiplied, anong mangyayari? When multiplied, yes, lalabas yung original. Okay? O yung given natin kanina. So, ayan guys. The next part is to validate the result by simply multiplying the factors. Okay? Now, turns out that the given factors when multiplied together, halimbawa, ito, we multiply these two, lalabas na sagot. Then this one, multiply natin dito. Turns out that the given factors when multiplied resulted to the original polynomial. And ano ba yung original polynomial natin? Yes, that's correct. The original polynomial is x cubed plus x squared minus 6x. So ano ngayon ang ibig sabihin nito? It means, yes, it means that the factors na na-compute natin kanina is correct. Okay, now at this point, let us try another example. Let us try another challenging example. So, for the second example, let us try to identify the factors of x cubed plus 3x squared minus 12. At this point, if you will examine the given polynomial, to kung titignan natin, we cannot apply common monomial factor. Wala tayong makukuha na common factor kasi in each term. So, ano kaya magandang gawin natin dito? Now, since we cannot apply common monomial factor, we will devise a different approach or a different method para makuha natin yung mga factors nito. Okay? Now, for this example, we will try using synthetic division, and at the same time, i-apply natin yung factor theorem in finding the possible factors of our polynomial. So, ayan o, naka-ready na yung synthetic division ko dito. Kaso may isa pang problema. Okay? Ang problema natin, hindi natin alam kung anong roots ang pwede nating magamit para makumpleto natin yung synthetic division natin. So, anong gagawin natin? Yan. Now, para hindi tayo mahirapang maghanap ng mga possible roots or possible answers, it would be better if, we will list down yung mga possible roots. Okay? Now, turns out, balikan natin. It would be better to list down yung mga possible roots. Ayun na nga. So, in this case, malaking tulong kung gagamitin natin yung rational root theorem sa task na ito. So it turns out, if we will apply the rational root theorem, there are 12 possible solutions. Okay? So 6 na positive, 6 na negative. Now, given itong mga possible factors or possible roots na ito, pipili tayo ng isa until makahanap tayo ng isa sa mga possible root na pwede nating gamitin dito. So, in other words, magta-trial and error tayo. So, kayo, it's up to you kung alin sa mga to ang gusto nyong unang gamitin. Now, on my case, I decided to try positive 1. Alright? Kaso, nung tinry ko yung positive 1, turns out, yung remainder ay hindi equal sa 0. Instead, it's negative 12. Pero sige, double check natin. So, 1, 1, 3, negative 4, negative 12. These are the numerical coefficients nung polynomial natin. So, okay naman. So, tuloy natin. Bring down 1. Alright. 1 times 1. We get 1 here. 3 plus 1, we get 4. 4 times 1, we have 4. Negative 4 plus 4 is 0. 0 times 1 is 0. Okay, so negative 12 nga. So, anong ibig sabihin nito? Turns out that the remainder is not equal to 0. So, ayun na nga. By definition of factor theorem, x minus 1 is not a factor. Okay? So, hanap pa tayo. Now, this time, subukan naman natin gumamit ng positive 2. Okay? So, ano mangyayari kung positive 2 naman ang gagamitin natin? Ayun, no? Turns out, kapag positive 2 ang ginamit natin, or in other words, ang divisor natin ay x minus 2, remainder natin magiging 0. Double check natin. Bring down 1 times 2. We have 2. 3 plus 2. We get 5. 5 times 2. We get 10. Negative 4 plus 10 is 6. And 6 times 2 is 12. Ayun. Yun na. So, 0 yung remainder natin. This time, since the remainder is 0, by factor theorem, ibig sabihin, x minus 2 is a factor to the given polynomial. So may isa na tayo. Now at this point, pansinin ninyo, notice that the resulting equation is x squared plus 5x plus 6. Itong expression na to, this can still be factored. So, pag finactor natin siya, itong lalabas, x plus 2 and x plus 3. So, ano ngayon ang ibig sabihin nito? Ayan, it means na nakumpleto na natin yung factors ng x cubed plus 3x squared minus 4x minus 12. Alright? Nung una kasi, ang nakuha natin na factor is x minus 2 by synthetic division. And then, yung dalawang factors, nakuha naman natin nung nag-apply tayo ng factoring quadratic trinomial. Before we move on to the last example, balikan lang muna natin yung mga examples na meron tayo kanina. Example number 1 and example number 2. Now, sa example number 1, we use a combination of factoring techniques. Okay? Para makuha natin yung mga factors na kailangan natin. Paano naman kaya sa example number 2? For example number 2, anong ginawa natin? We applied the concept of factor theorem. And at the same time, nag-synthetic division tayo in order to identify at least one factor. And then, saka tayo gumamit ng isa pang factoring technique. Now this time, let us try to get the factors of x cubed plus 6x squared plus 11x plus 6 using a different approach. So, anong gagawin natin dito? Here, subukan naman natin na mag-synthetic division all the way. So, paano yun? Now, here, sa solution natin dito, yes, I already identified list of possible roots. And yes, at the same time, alright, naka-ready na rin yung synthetic division ko. Okay, so alam nyo na ha, in identifying or in listing down the possible solutions, we use the rational root theorem. So here, in this example, I already decided to test negative 2 kung magsisiro ba siya. Okay? Kung lalabas ba na yung x plus 2 is a factor. So, tingnan natin. Now, it turned out na, ayun na nga, pag gumamit tayo ng negative 2, magzi-zero yung ating factor. So, double check natin. Bring down 1 times times negative 2, we get negative 2, then 6 minus 2, gamit tayo ng laser. Okay, so 6 minus 2, we have 4, then 4, so multiply to negative 2, we have negative 8, then 11 minus 8, that would give us 3. 3 times negative 2, we have negative 6. So, combining these two would result to 0. So, ano ngayon ang ibig sabihin nito? By factor theorem, it simply means that x plus 2 is a factor. So, may isa na tayo. Di ba sabi ko, magsi-synthetic division tayo all the way? So, paano nga ba yun? Tuloy natin. So, itutuloy-tuloy ko lang yung pagsisynthetic division ko. And this time, ayan o, dito na ako sa second level. This time, I decided to use or to test negative 1 naman. Okay? So, tapos na ako ng negative 2, negative 1 naman ang itetest ko. So, tignan natin. Okay. So, turns out na x plus 1, ayan o, is also a factor. So, paano nangyari yun? Sige, double check natin ha. Bring down 1. 1 times negative 1 is negative 1. 4 minus 1, we get 3. Then, 3 times negative 1 is negative 3. So, magsisiro nga talaga siya. So, again, turns out, negative 1, x plus 1 is a factor to the given polynomial. Okay? Finally, kung mapapansin ninyo, the resulting equation of our synthetic division, dalawang beses to, natuloy-tuloy. Ayan o, the resulting equation is x plus 3. So, ano ngayon ang ibig sabihin nito? Okay? Sige, gamit tayo ng 10. So, dito, factor natin ay x plus 2. Dito naman, x plus 1. And then dito, we have x plus 3. So, it means, nakumpleto na natin yung mga factors niya. Alright? finally, the factors of this, x cubed plus 6x squared plus 11x plus 6 are x plus 2, x plus 1, and x plus 3. Now, based on the 3 examples presented a while ago, it is now up to you to decide kung anong strategy ang palagay nyo mas madali sa inyo. Okay? Pero tandaan natin, sabi nga kanina sa introduction, in general, wala naman talagang specific rule on how to factor polynomial. It's up to you to decide anong strategy or anong approach ang gagamitin nyo. Well, pwedeng ang mangyari is katulad dun sa first example na purely combination of factoring techniques lang. Okay? Pwede naman katulad ng sa example number 2. Gumamit tayo ng factor theorem, synthetic division, tapos yung natira, saka natin finactor using factoring techniques. Or yung last example na kung saan magsisynthetic division tayo all the way. Okay? Ang importante kasi, makuha natin yung factors ng polynomial natin. But still, importante na masiguro natin na tama yung sagot natin. So don't forget to use the guidelines na binigay kanina. Now, before I end my presentation, I'd like to leave you a message from Master Oogway in the movie Kung Fu Panda. For sure, kilala nyo naman kung sino siya. Siya yung pagong doon, di ba? Ano bang sabi niya? Sabi ni Master Oogway, yesterday is history. Tomorrow is a mystery. But today is a gift. That is why it is called present. From Master Oogway in the movie Kung Fu Panda. Thank you so much and hope to see you soon sa mga susunod pa natin na advanced topics. So once again, this is Mr. J.R. Dones from Mataas na Paaralang Neptali A. Gonzales. Always remember, the task ahead of you is never as great as the power in front of you. Thank you so much and see you soon sa mga susunod pa natin na advanced topics. Sa ating pong mga viewers, I hope may natutunan kayo ngayong araw na ito. Don't forget to practice because I believe that mastery is not something that strikes in an instant. My name is Mr. J.R. Dones from Mataas na Paaralang Neptali A. Gonzales. Till next time.